Darkest Dungeon has been available on Steam through early access for a while, but it's finally finished, and now there's no better way to descend into a nightmarish crypt of horrors and lose your mind. What are you waiting for?
Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all.
You, as the player, have recently inherited a terrifying haunted manor, and you're charged with building a roster of heroes and mercenaries to clear it out. This isn't some Dungeons & Dragons high fantasy walk in the park, however, as Darkest Dungeon wants you to consider the psychological toll that adventurers must deal with. Everything your adventurers encounter is terrifying. The dungeons themselves are dreary, dangerous, nasty places full of brutish horrors, traps and disease, but cleverly, the player is just as likely to be undone through poor management of your team's basic need for food, light and comfort. There's no shame in losing to a giant crab monster or an unholy pig-faced flesh beast, but if your plague doctor is skittish because you didn't bring enough torches or you ran out of food, that's on you, buddy. Darkest Dungeon is a mean game, and one that's happy to punish you for your mistakes. At first it might seem too punitive, the consequences of a loss too dire and its economy too steep to manage, but perseverance will allow you to grow your manor into a well-oiled mercenary recruitment and rehabilitation center, and you are going to be doing a lot of both. Your heroes are both your most precious and your most expendable resource. Every week, a new group of occultists, sellswords, and outlaws arrive to fill out your roster, but you're just as likely to be expelling someone for being too shell-shocked to be worth the hassle. See, adventurers that go down to the dungeons don't tend to come back unaffected by the things they've seen and done. Everything that happens down there adds to their personal stress level, and if it gets too high, their spirit is tested. Sometimes, rarely, they'll rise to the occasion, becoming powerful inspiration to the rest of the party. Far more likely, though, is that they'll have some kind of manic episode and develop a new mental disorder. Your once brave frontline crusader might end up fearful, spouting off lines about how doomed everyone is, dampening the group's mood. Or maybe your faithful Vestal becomes selfish and starts healing herself instead of the rest of the party. Perhaps your clever gravedigger becomes paranoid and flat out refuses any attempts to heal her. Even if you do make it out of the dungeon alive and in one piece, the party is still likely to develop bad habits and other afflictions while the stress piles up, and so you need to balance recuperative activities like drinking, gambling, or self-flagellation, just go with it, with restorative actions, like time in the infirmary or sanitarium. But therapy is expensive, and adventurers' kits cost serious money, and you frequently find yourself in the unfortunate position of having to fire a solid former contributor who's now too much of a liability. They sacrifice their mind and body to your cause. I hope you at least have some kind of pension plan in place. It's a relentlessly grim game, and like all good roguelikes, the best moments happen right on the brink of giving up. When you're already worn down by despair and drudgery and the game decides to give you one more kick in the ribs, you somehow manage to catch the boot before the impact and snap that foot right off at the ankle. That analogy was starting to get away on me there, but stay with me. Death and defeat tend to be slow in Darkest Dungeon, but its victories are short and sweet. It's early and mid-game at best. The later stages require more grinding and repeating content than you might have the patience for, but overall it's got a unique take on roster management and dungeon delving. If you have an interest in exploring the darkest corners of Darkest Dungeon, grab your torch, your rations, your shovel and your 4 disposable saps and all the luck you can get. You're going to need it down there.
Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.